Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Well, every father should remember one day his son will follow his example, not his advice. These are the words of American inventor Charles Kettering, which reminds us that our nation is a reflection of the men who fathered children to follow in their footsteps. Fathers are indeed our first heroes, and on a day like this, we dedicate this edition of The Probe to celebrating and honoring all fathers and the potential ones as well, without any qualifications tonight. All my guests have music in common, but beyond that, they are entrepreneurs, they are critical thinkers, they are politicians, and growth analysts. Name them and they are there. So don't be surprised to see and hear them on The Probe tonight. They will analyze Ghana's growth trajectory from their own perspectives, and knowing who they are, you would want to stay put for that. In the words of Nelson Mandela, to be a father of a nation is a great honor, but to be the father of a family is a greater joy. Feel free to contribute as well via all our social media platforms, because we are live on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, and also on WhatsApp. You can send us messages. As always, The Probe is live on the JoyNews channel. We're on DSTV channel 421. GoTV is 144. For our radio audience is Joy 99.7 FM and over 30 affiliates dotted across Ghana's 16 regions. We're live on myjoyonline.com, Spotify, and all social media platforms. We've got you covered tonight. Welcome once again to The Probe. I am Emefa Apawu. Stay with me as we wrap up the Father's Day celebration with a focus on Ghana. Shall we? Do stay. You're welcome back. This is The Probe, and I bet you're still celebrating Father's Day for today. And we're analyzing Ghana's growth trajectory. And like I said, my guest for tonight is Rocky Dauni. He's a reggae musician, UN Goodwill Ambassador, Grammy nominee as well. We're also expecting to be joined via Zoom Reggie Rockstone, godfather of hip life. Ochame Kwame is a musician and creative director, also expected to join us via Zoom. We have Tick. He's a hip life musician and entrepreneur, and Kwame Asario being A+, political activist and entertainment pundit, also joining us via Zoom tonight. But it appears that we only have Rocky Dauni joining us just yet to start the program whilst we wait for the others to join. Rocky, good evening and welcome to The Probe.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to be hosting you tonight. Well, it's Father's Day. It's appropriate to wish you a happy Father's Day and to find out how your day has been.
Well, my day has been really incredible. My daughter is not currently in Ghana, so obviously the power and magic of technology has facilitated the opportunity to be able to stay in touch and chat. But for me too, Father's Day is also a day of, personal reflection, and also giving thanks for the opportunity to be bestowed with another person's life and, being to some extent a partner in nurturing this new life and using my experience and guidance to help them make the right choices in life and become, the best of themselves. And I feel that it's not necessarily becoming a carbon copy of what I am, but to be able to express and, go out to the fore and realize their own destiny in the best way possible. So it was really incredible day, just really chatting with my daughter, talking about, the state of the world and just, giving thanks for another opportunity, to celebrate a day. Although I'm not that, I'm not a person that is into days that are created basically from the Western world, for us to use as an opportunity to celebrate. But there's nothing wrong with celebrating fathers. So I'm like, regardless of whoever it comes from, it's an opportunity to really celebrate your children and give thanks for this opportunity.
Great. I was hoping that amongst the things that you got to interact with your daughter with will be issues about Ghana. Well, on a day like this also, as fathers, we've been talking about quotes from Mandela, amongst others. Really, it's a focus on the nation for us right here tonight. Yeah. As we commemorate this day or celebrate fathers, what for you should be the issues that we should be focusing on as a nation when it comes to our growth?
Well, I think that if we are fathers, the most important thing that really is, on our mind is the state of the future, and the future of our nation. Because as current custodians of our national identity and culture, every step that we take, every action that we take, every decision that we take will become, an inheritance for the generation that is behind us. So on a day like this, when as a father, I'm also thinking about what effort have we done to empower the youth with the tools and the mandates to become worthy leaders of our country? And have we also, through all our actions, through all our decisions, not only as citizens, but also in terms of our nation, our leadership, has our steps and decisions being influenced by the vision to create a future that will uplift every young people, provide them with the opportunity, provide them with the chances to be successful. So it's a day of celebration, but a day too where we need a day of reflection too, to see if in our national agenda and in our personal agenda and in our family agenda, whether we have lived up to this. First of all, we're looking at economy. How are we making decisions right now that will ensure that our economy will be resilient, at the same time be in a state that can support future generations or give them the tools to have the strong foundation for their future. Secondly, is our natural resources, because every country will craft new development and new future based upon the resources that they have and how well they manage those resources. Are we managing those resources as a means to empower future generations, or are those resources being compromised in a way that future generations are not going to have the opportunity and the strong foundation to be on their own and attain that economic independence that we have constantly been talking about as the objective of our democratic process that we have right now? So those are questions that, we especially in the light of all the headlines that are going on, that are dawning on me, that our Ghanaian leaders, our Ghanaian fathers, our Ghanaian chiefs, our Ghanaian community leaders, our Ghanaian opinion leaders, making sure that they do their due diligence and also the constant vigilance that is required to make sure that our future is in strong and capable hands, and also being crafted in a way that it will be an opportunity for the future generations to thrive on.
With that said, Rocky, is that what pertains? You've talked about the ideal situation, but is that what pertains as we speak for you from where you stand?
One more time, the question.
I'm asking, you've spoken about the ideal situation in terms of our economy, what you think it should be in terms of our resources and management and all. From where you stand and what you've witnessed so far as a country, is that the ideal situation? Is that what pertains in our country as we speak?
I think there's a lot of questions. I'm not going to sit here and talk about specifics. I mean, and this is something that transcends not only like the political party, or it's an indictment on the current generation. Like, are we, because when we talk about a generation, it involves us, it involves the leadership that we have, it involves our individual actions. If let's say somebody's talking about corruption, corruption is not something that you find in only leadership. You also find corruption in the social structure. So if we take a deeper look and we see that this cancer has infected the fabric of the society, then we don't even have, the moral grounds to even comment about it when it's happening, in the bigger sphere. So what I'm talking about is that as fathers, have we lived up to the, our responsibility of being good fathers? And by being good fathers means that our decisions, are they always informed by the intention to collectively consolidate our resources, our power, our strengths to empower our future generation to be on a much more stronger foundation for growth? Or have we compromised that opportunity in terms of personal gain, self-gain, or a gain of the clique that we belong to?
Okay.
So it's something that if we're talking about that, we are asking ourselves, I'm asking myself the same question and not pointing hands at anybody. So that's a bigger discussion that I think we all need to have, as to where we are,
okay.
as people in a nation.
I'm sure by the time we are done within the next 60 minutes, would definitely delve into some of the issues that you've raised. But let me check on my Zoom again. It appears that your colleagues have joined us. I see that we've had Reggie Rockstone joining us. We also have Tick. We also have A+. Let me check on my Zoom and see who I have joining us once again for tonight's edition of The Probe. Welcome, gentlemen. Okay, so I see we have A+, we have Tick, and then also Reggie Rockstone. Welcome and happy Father's Day to you. We missed you earlier.
Thank you.
Well, for you, Reggie, I don't know how the day has been. Happy Father's Day once again to all of you, I should say. But what for you should be our focus for today beyond just honoring fathers? What are the key issues for us as a nation that we should be pondering over as we commemorate this day? I'll start with you, Reggie.
That's it. Well, first of all, happy Father's Day to all the puppies who are here. God bless you. I see A+. All my brothers are here. God bless you. For me, being a good father is deeper than just because the narrative that they use is, okay, you are a provider, and and then they kick out. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a deeper connection because, me and my father, it's a case study of me and Ricky. May he rest in peace. Ricky was such a good friend of mine. If he wasn't my father, he'd still be a good friend of mine, somebody that I looked up to. But on the Mikasa, what am I saying? When you see me and Ricky talk, even as a child, I mean, this man never hit me. But I have so much respect for this man. I never want to be in his bad books. And so that's the type of time you son say correct video will be free. As soon as they hear the horn at the gate, they start running. I never understood that. I was happy. I used to run to the gate to meet my father. So we really need to check the relationships, because Africa, we deal with ageism. They shut you down, they dump you down. And I never had that when I was growing up. Thank God. And so I have the same relationship with my children. And that's something that I'd like to see in Africa, where the relationship with the parent and the child is a little bit more, they don't talk about nothing. Sex education, they forget cry and they might cry. What am I saying? So they go into the world not knowing what the real world is about, and this is where they walk into stuff. Oh, Jack, gangsters, they want to be sharp, but never did. Because my pops put me on. Yeah, he put me on at home. He said, "Yo, Reggie, don't do this. Don't get in the car if the driver's drunk." All of that stuff, and that meditate. I survived it all, and not all of us made it.
Okay.
So I would like to see the parents strengthen their relationship with the children, but on a different level, not just the when I speak, don't speak, because they did it to them, they pass it on to their children.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear Tick and A+ also on this. What exactly for you we're pondering over when we talk about Father's Day today. It cuts across. Reggie has been telling us what he thinks ought to be the ideal situation. We'll be hearing from Rocky Dawuni as well. Tick, how about you as we celebrate Father's Day today? You would have to unmute, Tick.
Yeah, like I was saying, I'm good. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm blessed. Thank you for asking. I'm asking you, what for you will be the major issues that you think we should be focusing on today as we celebrate fathers, beyond just commemorating the day?
Well, I just think that we should work on that father, child relationship. As Africans, we grew up with that. Like, when around my time in the 80s, like Reggie was saying, I mean, if you hear your dad, coming home and he beeps the horn, it's like, you run to your father and you open the gate with a big smile. You're happy to welcome your daddy. And for example, my daughter, for example, in recent times, one day I was coming home and I beeped the car horn, and the guy was coming to open the gate, but she was just like taking it easy, like, and I was like, so as soon as I entered, I was like, did you hear the horn? She was like, yeah, but the guy got it. So she was taking it easy. So from then I started thinking about what Reggie was saying, that, okay, so what is making her not to have that enthusiasm? Not that I don't take her out or I don't have time for her or whatever, but it's just a new thing. It's just a new culture, Now they are more exposed. So I think it's got to do with preserving what we have and making sure that we instill that Africanness in our children and make them grow, but also exposing them to something else, that is the Western world and what they are also doing, but making sure that we preserve what we are and who we are, so that they know the difference between what we expect of them in Africa as a child and what is expected from you maybe in the Western world. Okay. Because take it or leave it, I mean, it's a whole world, which is one, but the values are different. If you go to Asia, they have their own values. If you come to Africa, we got our own values. But in Africa, we don't like to preserve what we have. We like to copy blindly. So I would say that this day should be used in instilling Africanness in our children, so they will understand the relationship that they should have with us. So at the end of the day, they don't just think that that's my father and that's the westernized world, how to handle my father is the same way like in Africa, how to handle my father. In Africa, if I'm at home with you and you want to address me, as much as I'm your friend, you still have to use a lot of please, which in the Western world is also done. But you realize that in these days, please is becoming a big deal in other homes in Africa, whereby, even if you're going to address your father, I don't know, like you have that kind of respect. Okay. Yeah, but in these modern times, it's becoming a bit, difficult. Relaxed. Where your child or your son or whatever is coming to you and they think they can just walk to you and just speak to you anyhow, which is fine. But I mean, it depends on the relationship. Okay. But in as much as they doing that, we should draw a barrier for them to know that, okay, to address an elderly person must be addressed in a certain way. And when I'm with my friends, my peers, I can also speak to them in a certain way. Okay, but let me bring in Kwame.
Let me bring in Kwame on this. I'll take another round on other issues as well. Kwame, if you were your decision to make as we commemorate such a day, what would you say should be the focus?
Thank you, and happy Father's Day to all my brothers on here. I think that the focus should be on family values, which we are missing gradually. And now that it's a day to celebrate fathers, I think that we should use this day to explain the family structure to everybody. The family structure is very, very important. Immediately, there is no structure and there is no leadership and a clear understanding of everybody's duty in a home. it leads to chaos and broken homes, and it eventually affects the children as well. And so our family structure is it's a very good one, and it brings the children up in a certain way. There is some peace and calm in the house. Unfortunately, today, a man and a woman are equal. I don't understand what they mean by equal. I believe that human beings are equal. But even when you go to primary school, in a kindergarten, there is a class prefect. And if you go to secondary school, there is a boys prefect and there's a girls prefect. Anywhere, in any grouping where you don't have leadership, there is chaos. Leadership does not mean the man must be the dictator in the house and the woman must be the slave. Anybody who thinks like that is not enlightened. Immediately you say that a woman must respect the husband and the husband must love the wife. They think that the responsibility, the men are demanding more, the men want to be superior. But if somebody should respect somebody and somebody should love somebody, when you look at the definition of love, it comes with respect, it comes with care, it comes with patience, it comes with, look, love is everything. So I think that this day should be used to explain to everybody that you have a house. In our culture, the man is the head of the house. The woman is the interior minister. The man is the president. They are all running a government, and they are all looking at. They are all going to a certain direction, which will bring peace and happiness to the kids. This is very important today in our kind of homes that we have, and what is being introduced into our system. The women, most women or some women are seeing themselves as the man is not the head of the house. And as for me, as an African man, I always stand by that. You go into any house, the man is the head, and the woman is the baby.
Is the neck.
And then the other children, you take care of the woman and the kids. You make them happy. Women must understand. That is why Mother's Day is being celebrated more than Father's Day. For all the fathers love the mothers. All the fathers want to take care of the mothers. The fathers want the mothers to be happy and the kids to be happy. So we love the women. We care about them. We want to take care of them. We want them to be happy. But there must be a structure. There must be a structure in our various homes. Any man who thinks that because you are the head of the house, your job is to be a dictator and abuse your wife in the house, we are not talking about you. You are not even part of this conversation. That's not what we are talking about. Okay. We are talking about a structure. You come to multimedia, there is a structure. So Father's Day should be used to establish the position of a man in the house. Before a man becomes the head, even those who are Christians who read the Bible, before any man can call himself a leader, the duties of such a man is there. And this day must be used to establish the man's position in the home.
Okay, so I see that there's politics in this as well for you in terms of the structure in the home. But there's one key thing that he mentions, A+ mentions, that I want to bring to your attention as well. Family values. As we speak, there's a bill in Parliament which is seeking to guide us when it comes to proper family values. That's the bill. And amongst others, it has the LGBTQ issues and all that in there. So I see that A+ is taking us there, because family values, should we be having a bill or a law, for instance, to guide us in that direction when it comes to family values? Maybe I'll take the next round and start with Rocky, since I started with you, before we end with A+, since he raised it. Rocky, I don't know if, I'm sure you know about this proper family values bill in Parliament.
I really have no comment on that bill. My thing, what I want to talk about is in terms of the influence of technology and the influence of, when it comes to outside because right now the moment that we're seeing that as a father, I'm seeing that we don't have control over the algorithmic computations that are influencing our actions. So here we are, there's a technology that has been created, and this technology was created in some parts of the world. The technology in its inception didn't have a lot of Black people who were part of its authorship. And so when we take this technology, most of these big companies that are funneling information and also writing these algorithms for us are not indigenous companies, are not indigenous Black people's, creations. So we are currently, the young people are currently being influenced by so many different ideas that are funneling from different places around the world. So parents, I feel that this is the time that parents have to be close to their children in terms of getting the opportunity to have a conversation, because, we don't have children, children in terms of, we don't have to put children and say, because our traditions are a certain way, so the adult is the father, and then you talk down to the children or you dictate to the children what to do. This is the time to bring them into the conversation so that we can win their trust, and in winning their trust, be able to have an insight as to what they are viewing, what they are being influenced and influenced at this time, and also different things too that they need to come to us so we can have a good explanation and help them navigate the brave new world that is not only a world that is controlled by our values within here as Africans, but also values that are also not part of our indigenous, our situation, and have that conversation to be able to guide our children. So my thing is in terms of being aware that technology is influencing our children, and our responsibility as parents is to keep our eye on, because I see a lot of young people just, they will be scrolling through their internet all day long. Everywhere they go, their mindset is focused on this. So we have to be able to make sure that they're not addicted to this system, and also focus on what is important around your world, like, things like, gardening, the environment, education, women's empowerment, all the things that are important to strengthening our nation as our people. We have to make sure that we connect with them and engage them so that the technology and the lure of this new medium, that I feel that some of even the projections are to make us dumb, because all you see is people watching like slave queens or all of this, like joking, things that are not important to the expansion of our mental faculty. People spend hours and hours and hours on this. And I feel that that is of much more importance for us to be watching that influence on our youth, and be able to guide our youth to spend less time on this technology and focus on real things, so that we can be able to guide them to become better citizens and also contribute meaningfully to our advancement as a people.
Okay, well, so family values influence on the next generation, amongst others. Take, I was talking about, Rocky doesn't want to comment on the proper family values bill currently before Parliament, but we'll talk about other issues. But Take, I don't know about you, talk of influence of the next generation, like Rocky has been saying, and the family values that A+ has been talking about. I was hoping to tie it in nicely with the bill currently before Parliament, and whether we need a bill to direct us in the way of proper family values.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you can talk about the bills and all of that as the fundamentals of how we want to go or the way we want to go. But the truth is what Rocky has just said. I mean, I mean, we have our own African values, like I mentioned earlier on. I mean, growing up, we didn't have any form of bill to direct how we're being brought up. But our grandparents knew how to bring us up because they were pure Africans. They weren't exposed. Technology, he mentioned another thing that was very important. Technology was not that too high, had not influenced the Africanism of our lifestyle. But in recent times, you know that everything has gone under the shadows because, you know, we're being exposed the more, and the social media and everywhere is buzzing. And that's it. And this is the time to rise up as a nation and put, you know, certain measures in place. So yes, you can put a bill, but the most important thing is to maintain who we are and not forget who we are, and try to institute, you know, certain ideology to bring up our children.
But do we seem to be forgetting? Do we seem to be forgetting who we are at some point in time? You would say, knowing what you know in where you sit, you are a musician, entrepreneur, amongst others. Do you seem to think that from where we are going, the focus of the media, what we are focusing on, like Rocky is saying, are we seeming to be losing our way or our focus as a nation in terms of our values?
Oh yes, oh yes. I think the media is also playing a part in us losing our values as Africans or Ghanaians or who we are. Why? Because like in recent times, there are some few media homes that I've seen teaching Chinese and things like that on national TV, whilst they should be teaching Ga, you know, or Ewe, or Tree, or something like that. So yes, and I saw it for the first time. I was like, whoa, things are really changing. And they were teaching people Chinese hard, which is good. But, you know, like for me, I would have loved to see more Ghanaian languages being taught on national TV and stuff like that. So yes, the media is playing a part, because what is the media teaching? What role is the media picking up in carving the Ghanaian youth or the Ghanaian child to realize what they have and who they are and what they are supposed to be like when they grow? So the media has not played that much, role in making sure that, the Ghanaian child knows who they are and understands what they are.
Okay.
So it all comes back to the family as well. So if the family is able to put that together, like A+ said, if there's a structure that they can follow, which I think every home has anyway, it's just that some homes do not enforce the structure. So then they leave it up in the air, and kids, turn a different lifestyle on. So for me, I believe that if we can maintain and protect it and make sure that it's being enforced, where people understand their roles in the family setup and what is expected of them as African children, because I knew what was expected of me. So in my music and in everything that I do, I still maintain who I am, and as an African, I know my values.
Okay.
But going forward, how much do our kids know? And they know very little, because we don't have that. We don't spend that much time with them breaking it down and letting them understand what they're supposed to stand for as African child when you're growing up. In Europe and in America, they sit their kids down and they teach them. They actually teach them on the values of being a European, being an American, or what have you. So for me, I believe that is our responsibility, and we have not done well enough in bringing up our kids in a certain direction.
Okay,
they can be known as Africans and respect their values.
Okay. Well, Kwame, you raised the issue about family values. Is it part of our values? Some will ask, for you or a child or a Ghanaian, since we've been talking about values, LGBTQ amongst others, is it part of our values? When did it become our values? Hello, A+. Okay, it appears that A plus is not there. But let me then focus, since we're still on family values amongst others. We'll be getting to some messages also that people have been sending us. They're surprised that musicians and, entrepreneurs, you're talking about family values amongst others. But of course, they are fathers as well, and they are commemorating this day the best way they know how. We'll get to some of your messages that you've been raising. But earlier, let's focus on our nation, at least on Ghana. At least we've been talking about our family values and instilling Africanism amongst others in us. But Rocky, earlier you were raising issues about our economy. And as it stands now, if you were to rate us as a nation where we've come from, not a particular party or anything of a sort, our handling, our management of our nation, what would be your verdict on it, you'd say?
The thing is that when it comes to the economy is really a reflection of the times in which you live. There's so many different factors that influence your prosperity and your ability to achieve your fundamental objectives. I feel that, as Africans, and like every economy around the world that has been successful, the foundation has been being able to have a strong agricultural base. And by being able to have a strong agricultural base, I don't mean in terms of producing a lot, but also being able to expand the value chain of production, making sure that when it comes to agriculture, there is a whole business aspect of it. There's a whole aspect where the youth are equipped with the opportunities and trained to become an integral part of a big plan. And once you are able to put that investment there and make sure that, along the value chain, whether it's the transportation, whether it's production, whether it is value added, post-production, reduction of post-production losses, creating a very good network of being able to bring products and produce from the hinterlands and being able to preserve them too, and to use them when, you have issues of diminished production. I think all of that aspect is a very important part. If you're able to create a seamless network to strengthen that, and at the same time too, you promote the concept of agriculture as a business for the young people and entrepreneurs. Give them the tools, teach them, expose them to other places around the world that have used agriculture and various plants and various produce that they've introduced into their country to also help them move forward. Imagine if Tete Kwashi had not brought cocoa to Ghana. Imagine just an idea that he got and brought it to here, how it became transformative. How many different plants and products are around the world that if we bring these plants in, train our young people, equip them with a vision, equip them with investment, and then have a whole movement of young agriculturists and make agriculture also something not of a relic of our fathers, but also as a tool for our advancement. It will position us to be able to take in the shocks that are happening right now in the global economy. Because when you look at every household and every country, a lot of times, a lot of the money that is spent mostly goes into feeding, products, food. That's usually the biggest part, where the main budget comes. So if you're able to shore yourself up in that regard, rather than, becoming addicted to imports, most of our countries, even the rice, we have land that can produce rice, but we import rice. Even I recently found out that even cassava, we are importing cassava from other countries. How did we get here? So this all shows that when it comes to vision, regardless of what has been said, the rhetoric that has been put across, the implementation and realization of, a system that can guide us forward has still not been realized. And, all these countries, America, I've traveled around Europe, I've traveled in so many different countries that we think of as like these global powers. When you go there, the agricultural part of those countries are strong. That's why we are importing grains. When we need food, we go to, USDA, all of these other international organizations to import surplus food from all these countries.
Yeah.
But we can't become a country that depends on the handouts of others. So I would say that our economic situation right now, regardless of how the numbers, we start using, Wall Street says this, the economic numbers, all the economic indicators. The indicators don't transform into the man into the street when he can't get his daily meal. So let's focus on those fundamentals, strengthen it. And then when we strengthen it and have a youth that can make money and can create jobs out of our agricultural base, then we're talking about having our own initiative and utilizing the land that we have as a means to also create our prosperity. I think if we don't get this right, then any other superficial decorations that we call economic philosophies will fall flat on its face.
Well, let me bring in Rockstone. Oboba, really, we've been talking about the family values and then also asking whether indeed we are setting our priorities right as a nation. Where do you stand on that? Is Reggie there?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Pacho, I'm Nkapa.
What have you?
I was asking about family values. At least we didn't get your take on the issues about whether, in terms of our values, we are still on track when it comes to the Ghanaian values. We've heard about LGBTQ amongst others, which people say should be our focus also. We've also been talking about the fact that priorities when it comes to our growth as a nation, whether we are setting it right in terms of what we are focusing on.
I know, Bronika, I'll say charity begins at home. What's the matter? It'll all begin from every family unit, how they set it up. Inti senior what to tell ma senior idea we all fear. Some colano benini. No, they're gonna go into the world. And then when they go into the world, they will have a certain mindset because say you need paying for any better one. So when you talk about LG, I just know that my children got no hate in them. I don't raise my children to have me cry to them and so I don't care if you're fat, short, tall, whether you're gay, whatever you are, I'm gonna treat you with respect, just like, and I expect to be treated with respect. What's am I say? There's no hate, no prejudice, none of the above. And so, I mean, I don't even have that power to be judgmental. But in saying that, I will raise my children because, they come from a heterosexual unit. I'm a mom and I'm papa. So I know what I'm going to put to my children. However, I'm not God. I can't, I don't have all the answers. And it has been known, you get some surprises. And you just got to deal with it. But the love remains the same. And these children got love, and we care for them, and we're going to show them, what's out there in the world and what to be prepared for. And see, no. Now, we need to raise the levels of patriotism. And when you have a certain level of patriotism in your heart, and you love your country, it's all going to fall in line. What's the matter? I look at Jamaica and the way they big up Jamaica. Jamaicans big up Jamaica so much that none is speaking their language and expressing themselves via music and patois. What's the matter? I don't see Jamaicans, making records in Crete. You understand me? This is how much they big up their country. What's the matter? And when we raise them patriotic levels now, and when you love your country, you know not to piss on the side of the street. You know not to throw rubbish in the gutter. You know it. What's the matter? And then everything else will fall into place.
Okay.
But
It looks like your line there is breaking up, but that's Reggie. We'll try and see if we can get a better connection to him. But I'm told A+ is also back. A+, so you raised the issues about family values, but we've been moving on from that, also talking about certain priorities, right? Are we focused as a nation in terms of our priorities, you'd say? Do you have Kwame?
Yes,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, I think that we are even late. You see, I am a strong supporter of the West. I support the West. I love America. I'm not to say I hate any country. I don't hate nobody. Like Reggie said, I don't hate nobody. But I love to be in the West. But they came here and they changed our names. And they named us Abraham and Nehemiah and Habakkuk. And they changed so many things about us, some good and some that didn't help us. We are not angry. We can't have two wives, according to them. In our traditional African setting, my grandfather married 18 women. Those peace, I don't know when there was war in my grandfather's village. I'm not to say everybody should marry 18 women, but they told us that you have to have one wife. And before you can love somebody, you should go to the court and register and put a ring on your finger to show that you love the person. And we agreed. And then the same people brought us the Bible to read, and we read it. And then they came back and told us that a man should marry a man. That's the new thing. And I think that Africa is the only continent that does not have a God. You go to Asia, they have their God. You go to Greece, they have their God. You go to every continent has its God. The only God that is not accepted, that is evil, is the African God. My grandfather was a fetish priest. He never worshipped Satan or whoever they call, or whatever Satan is. My grandfather worshipped God through his gods, just as the Christians worship God through Jesus Christ and the angels. My grandfather also worshipped the same God, but through his African traditional God. But when you read the Bible, it tells you about how you should pour libation. The Catholics, they burn incense and they pray so that they pray so that their prayer can be expedited to God, because the dead saints are standing in front of God. And my grandfather also pours his libation. It's the same God, but they make ours look everything about us is going. I don't care if two consenting adults want to be in a room and do what. And I don't have the time to be going from room to room to check out what they are doing. However, we are Africans. It is not part of us as Ghanaians to see two men having an open marriage, or we are not at the stage. Maybe we will get there, please. Nobody should force us. We must be allowed to make some of the decisions for ourselves. Maybe we will get to that stage where a man and a man will marry, and a woman and a woman. But for now, please, we said we are not ready. We don't hate. We don't hate anybody. I don't even, look, if you think that gay and lesbianism is a crime, you have no business going to check what people are doing in their room and going to beat people up and going to abuse people. No.
Okay. It appears that I've lost connection to Kwame A+ there. But we just have a few minutes to be wrapping up, and it's a good time to take messages, brief messages from all of you. Then we can wrap up for tonight. I wish we could have more time to be able to go on with this. But you are all entrepreneurs as well. I know that music binds all of you, but you do other things. I know Reggie Rockstone's office, Reggie Wache, amongst others. I know Tick is also into the pizza business, amongst others. All of you doing something for yourself. It means that you are in the economic conditions, cost of living, cost of doing business, amongst others. If you were to speak to those in power, those in the helm of affairs, to change anything, for instance, what would you say directly to them? I have a minute each for all of you, and then we can wrap up. Who do I start with? Maybe Tick, let's start with you. Your wrapping words, if you have to say anything directly to those in authority in terms of what should change. Okay, it looks like Tick dropped. Reggie, do I come to you on that? Directly, if you have to speak to those in authority, you do business, cost of living, cost of doing business, amongst others. If you were to speak directly to those in authority, what would you tell them in a minute, please? You have to unmute, Reggie. Okay.
What's it, Menga? Yeah, the people, the powers that be, the people in power, or our rulers, our leaders, need to be really mindful and more respectful of the people that they rule. You know, in Africa, the politician is like a god. You know, big man. You know, and it's crazy. Like they work for us. And somehow the narrative just changed. It's like they're like our gods. You know, when you talk, if you drive a big car, what's the name of the Land Cruiser? If you drive a Land Cruiser and you get to the barrier, even the police is saluting. You know, but also big man. You know, it's crazy, and this is all, you know, parts and parcel of this setup. And so I think that our leaders need to really pay attention, and especially to the youth. You know, it's amazing how the only time that you see politicians actually connect with the youth is when it's time for elections. You know, when you need that vote, then all of a sudden you got one of the most famous rappers, young folks, because he's connected to you, singing and praising you. As soon as that's over with, they come into power, there's no connect. You know, all that other stuff that we was talking about, royalties, all of that goes out the window. Okay. You know, see, so you know, and it's a bad look for them. If they don't understand that, it's a bad look for them.
Okay,
so
that's a minute, Reggie. I would have to move on to the others so that we do a minute each, then we can wrap up. I'm really out of time. Thank you. Rocky, I'll take a minute also, just a minute for you also, if you have a direct message, at least maybe to the father of the land. What would it be?
Well, what I would say is that, you know, the foundations of a successful democracy will depend on transparency and also inclusion. You know, so, and then the protection too of our collective resources for the betterment of all. And those are fundamentals that we need to make sure that, you know, that stewardship is held not only for the betterment of our generation, but also future generations.
Okay.
So, and then the youth, as Reggie said, as we all know, that involving the youth as part of the process is very, very important. And there shouldn't be a disconnect between the leadership and also the people who empowered the leadership with their votes. Because leaders are not there because they got there themselves, but it was a mandate through the power that was invested in them by the people's vote. So in the long run, the people are the ones who appointed the leaders, and not the leaders who appointed.
Thank you very much, Rocky. Kwame, a minute, under a minute, actually. Your message directly, then we can wrap up.
The last person that you want to speak with is somebody who doesn't know the people who really love him, and it's always surrounded by sycophants and somebody who doesn't listen. And so I don't have any message for anybody.
Thank you very much. And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of The Probe. Many, many thanks, gentlemen, for being phenomenal fathers and joining us for tonight's edition. I had Reggie Rockstone, godfather of hip life. I had Rocky Dawuni, reggae musician, UN Goodwill ambassador also. Tick is a hip life musician and entrepreneur. And Kwame Asario being A+, political activist and entertainment pundit. Many thanks for your company. That's it for tonight's edition. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. A Walk with Jesus continues the discussion on fatherhood. Real Daddy Code on Joy 99.7 FM. Have a good evening.